I can't make this stuff up. These are actual videos posted on YouTube of TV install fails. Just imagine if, well, we don't want to imagine that, if this TV had fallen on a toddler, a young child, a pet, or just the damage of losing such a large investment. The embarrassment of it happening in front of friends and family, company. Listen, in this video, we're going to give you tips of how to install your flat screen TV. And if these tips and procedures seems a little overwhelming, give us a call. We'll come out and install it for you. Here's another video. Like I said, I can't make this stuff up. And if you have a TV install fail and you've got video of it, get in touch with me. I'll buy it from you. For real. All right, in this video, we're attaching our television screen, first of all, the mounting bracket to a cement wall and outer wall. Now, that's going to mean that in this particular installation, it's going to be a cement wall. But one thing you notice about this wall is that doesn't sound like a cement wall, a solid concrete wall. That's because this concrete wall has drywall attached to it. But in between the drywall and the concrete wall, you have wood fairing strips. And those fairing strips are attached to the concrete. And of course, the drywall is attached to the fairing strips. Now, we're going to use a wallabout to see how we can find these studs in here. Otherwise, you probably traditionally use one of these stud finders. It works fine. I never had a problem with it. It works perfectly fine to me. It'll find your studs. It's foolproof. Only bad part I don't like about it is you may find something that you think is a stud, or you may miss something like a pipe or a wire, and the wallabout will pick that up. Some of the tools that you're going to use besides the stud finder, of course, is one of these, and that's going to be a leveler. I always tell people to use more than one leveler, just in case you have a leveler that is faulty, that is broken. At least if one of them is out of sync, that's going to give you a pretty good clue, like maybe I should check just to make sure they're both fine. One other thing that you also can use, nowadays your phones have a leveler on them as well. In fact, mine has a leveler here. If you go into panels on my Samsung S21, you'll see the leveler here. Now, personally, I like the one on the iPhone 13. I'll give you a screenshot of that, but if you like the video, I'm shooting with an iPhone 13 Pro. But at any rate, let's go on further here. Let me show you some of the devices that we use to attach to the wall. Now, if you're doing a solid concrete wall, Tapcons, perfect. And make sure they're long enough. These are 3 3/4. Otherwise, you can also use this here. These, I'll put a description in the item in the description. These are anchors that go into the wall. You drill a hole, put them in there, and you tighten this down. This grips, and then you can mount your mounting bracket to that. That's for solid concrete walls. I also use this to back up the connection that I made to my outer wall. Now, I drilled into, of course, the wood strips, the fairing strips, and I use lag bolts. So I use the lag bolts to go inside the fairing strips to take and hold it. Sometimes this may be a little bit too long. Once you drill it in, you might see the drywall kind of pull away a little bit. That's fine. Me, personal preference, is nothing wrong with it. It's still going to hold it up. But at any rate, this may be a little bit too long for your application. So this is what you can also use for inner walls as well. But usually on inner walls, especially if it's aluminum studs, what we use is driller toggles. Now, you can look on YouTube to see exactly how the driller toggles work. But at the same time, what this does here, you actually screw this into the drywall, okay? Me personally, I would take and look for the I would take and look for the stud itself first. If it's a metal stud, drill a hole in it, screw this in there. Once you put your screw in here, this flips up and it comes across and it pulls it tight against your stud or your drywall. Another thing that you can use is what's called pull toggles. Now, pull toggles have worked pretty good. They have a rating of 155 pounds on them. And the pull toggle is this here. You're gonna take and drill a 1/2-inch hole, push this in, this flips up. You push this into the hole and pull this tight. It'll be tight against the drywall and allow you to hold it there while you put your screw in. And this is a great support here for televisions. But at any rate, you know, the last thing that you could use is, you can use some of these. I'm just joking. Don't take my advice. I'm just joking. These will definitely have your TV falling off the screen. One other thing I wanted to make a quick mention about, when you mount your bracket to your television, I'm going to go in further details later on, but make sure you have the right screws for the right depth. Oftentimes your hardware that's included with your TV mounting bracket will have different size screws. I recommend that you find out from your television which kind of screws and how deep they should be. Unfortunately, for the manual that I had for the LG, it didn't list it and it didn't say anything about it. So what I had to do, I had to take and send an email or call or do that online chat to LG to find out how long these screws should be. And oddly enough, M6 1 times 10 millimeters. That's all it was. These small screws right here to hold a 65-inch television to the wall mounting brackets. That's all it took. But at any rate, make sure that you do find out which size, because if you use a screw that's too long, you can actually destroy your television. You put a long screw in there and you think this ought to hold it, over securing yourself, or you know, thinking that this is the best one. Size does matter. And if you put something too long in it, you can actually probably drill right into one of your PC boards or some kind of critical equipment that's inside the television. So, but I'll go into further details with this later, but I'm going to demonstrate the Wallabout to you right now. Hooking the Wallabout up, plugging it into my Samsung S21. Let me bring the program up. Where are we at here? Let's do a search. And my Wallabout software. And I'll do also a screenshot of this as well. Okay. Let me do a screenshot. Recording. Now I'm looking at my drywall. I hit next. Follow screen. Done. And we select drywall on here. Now there's a little button right here in the corner. I press that and it brings up my calibration. Start calibration. Okay. Make sure you go the same way that the circle's going. And you're going to do this with a wider and a wider circle. Okay, calibration complete. All right, we're going to go to images. Under images, our scan mode here. No, we don't want to go to expert. We'll go to images first. Start scan. Okay. Oh, I picked up a wood stud already. Let's see what we got here. Pipe. No object detected, no object detected, okay. Wooden stud. Okay, that's my wooden stud. Pipe, wire. Now that could be Romex. Either way, it's either Romex or it is a pipe. Pipe, pipe wire. And of course, you're going to mark as you go everything that you find on here. wooden stud. Now I know I got one wood stud here, one here, and like I said, you're going to also mark where you find the pipe wire at. One right there. Another one here. And then of course you're going to mark where your wooden stud is. There's another feature on here called Expert, but we're not going to even go into that. We got everything that we need to mark a wall, to find out where our studs is. I'm sorry, where my studs are. We're also going to mark also the pipe and the wire, because we don't want to drill into a pipe, because you'll instantly become a plumber real quick. And at the same time, you don't want to drill into a wire, because more than likely you can start flipping circuit breakers and or start a fire. But you want to be sure that you are in your wood studs. We're going to go into a little bit further detail as far as drilling those in. And also I'm going to show you some of the instructions that I had where it was so vague. But listen, the information is always there, whether it's on the internet or whether you go to the manufacturer to find out what kind of screws to use on the television as well. Here I'm using a Samsung S21 to measure the wall. Had a slight little bit of a difficulty using it, but ultimately I did get a measurement of close to 14 feet. Here I'm using iPhone 13 Pro to measure the wall. Unlike the Samsung S21, the iPhone 13 Pro, in my opinion, was easier to use and calibrate. Approximately, both of them gave me 14 feet. The wall accurately measured is 14 feet. So we will be centering this wall mounting bracket for the television at 7 feet and in the center of the bracket as well. You want to center your bracket only in your viewing area, not to include an entrance or doorway entrance or a closet. Here you'll see two lag screws holding the television bracket securely, tightly to the wall. Next you'll see at the top, you'll see a Tapcon screw. At the bottom above the leveler on the bracket, you'll see a hole. That's where I tried to put another Tapcon screw in there, but unfortunately I believe it hit a piece of rebar within the construction of the wall. That's fine. These are just extra screws. These are two more Tapcons. These are just extra screws. If your installation will allow you to put extra screws in there, why not? It's better to be sure that your bracket is securely placed against the wall. Here's the other two lag bolts that are securely holding the mounting bracket for the television to the wall. I did mention earlier in this video that I would go a little bit deeper into the screws that are used to attach the hooks, the final hardware to mounting your television to the wall. These hooks mount onto the mounting bracket. And you notice the standard screw size, it says M6 for our model number, 65 inch. And it even shows the placing of where the screws go, but it doesn't give the complete information of knowing how long. And for that, I did the online chat and I verified it also by emailing them. Here's the email response that I got from them, which also includes the answer. And the answer I'm looking for is 9 to 10 millimeters for this model. Now I can complete the installation. Here's a picture of the final installation. The television is mounted securely to the wall mounting bracket. The wall mounting bracket is mounted securely to the wall. It will not fall. I can guarantee it. The television is placed in the center of the viewing area of the room, and it is 45 inches above the floor. Now, a good friend of mine, Donald Kelly, recommended placing it at this height just in case you want to put a cabinet up underneath it or other furniture, or maybe even if it's in a bedroom, you may want to put a dresser up underneath it. And plus, it is at a comfortable eye level. The only thing that needs to be added is, which will probably have happened in the near future, and we'll make a video of that, is to add some bias lighting for it, as well as a pocket that will accommodate the power cord that you see, and the HDMI and network cables. I'm hoping this video was helpful to you in installing your flat panel screen, your LCD TVs, your new QLED, or whatever kind of screen you have. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to us. But one other thing I did want to take and give you another tip on. With your new screen, your new television, I don't normally keep the box, but what I do recommend is that you keep the styrofoam. You may sell it, you may move, whatever the issue may be, but here, you can always mark it with any way that you want. This one here is marked front left 65 inch. Another piece of the styrofoam I have here marked as bottom front 65 inch. However you want to take and name them. And these styrofoam pieces are easier to keep than that big cardboard box. And at the same time, if you need to take and wrap it in another box, you can always, probably rig up something or do something just to be able to transport it. One other thing I wanted to suggest that I didn't mention earlier is to use safety glasses. You never know if you have a screwdriver in your hand and you go to scratch your nose or whatever. You can have that screwdriver and inadvertently poke yourself in the eye. So I recommend using safety glasses, and at the same token, gloves and when applicable. And I say that because it's kind of difficult to work with gloves with small tools, but I personally actually got a really bad eye infection one time where I almost lost my eye. So you may want to use some gloves also when you're handling different materials, tools, and etc. You never know what kind of things you might pick up off of the surfaces. So I recommend that, being safe. And above all, understanding your application. And before you start, make sure you have everything that you need and make sure you know exactly how you're going to place your TV and do some planning in it beforehand. But at the same token, I don't want to keep you much longer. Like I said before, if you have any questions, just reach out to us. And you probably noticed that I got a little rubber band around here. Donate blood. You never know if you're saving somebody's life. It doesn't matter if they're black, white, Hispanic, Indian, Asian, or whatever. If you get an opportunity to save somebody else's life, you just never know what you've done for someone else. So I donated blood today. Hopefully you'll do the same. And my last tip is slow down. Let that yellow light turn red. You may also be saving your life as well, because that's what smart people do. Smart people with smartphones have smart technology from Designer Home Electronics. Thank you.